Good everyone, welcome to today's video. Today it's a first flight of the H-81 A-2. Obviously people know this as the Flying Tigers P-40 and well, I actually quite like this thing, but there's a big but here. Do I think it's worth buying the pack for this plane? I don't think so. Now for those of you who are probably going to say, what the fuck is your problem? This thing's absolutely awesome. It is a good plane. I'm not going to say it's a bad plane. But there are better planes, if that makes sense. What do I mean by this? Well, obviously you got the 250 cals on the nose, 430 cals on the wings, and a single 500 pounder that you can put in the fuselage, which I believe I shown the first flight. And I just don't think that for this level of firepower, because I mean 250s are good, the 30 cals are alright, but I just don't think that it's worth spending about £20 in British money on this plane with the pack with about 15 days of premium, 1,000 golden eagles. I think you'd be much better off just buying a talisman in a tree, which I've got a couple of suggestions. The Key 44 to high, that's a pretty good plane to put a talisman on. Key 43 Co. The P-66 Vanguard is an interesting choice to do it, but at the same time, its energy retention is crap. You need to fly it like a Corsair, basically. P-40E would probably also be a better choice due to the 650 cals as opposed to 2 and 430 cals. Anyway, I'm not here to discuss about replacements for this plane that you could use. What's this plane like to fly? Well, obviously I believe this is a P-40B or a C, it's one of those two. And, well, I've never flown one of those planes, so it was an interesting experience. Now, in a turn, you won't match much. I mean, in the review, when I come around to doing a review of this thing, because I've been using this thing a lot, you will notice that this plane does struggle. Perfectly understandable, because all planes will struggle at some point. Now, the climb rate is pretty below average. You have to climb at a 15-degree angle. That's my recommendation. The engine does overheat when you wep it too much, and it won't like to cool down, so you do need to maybe cut the engine from time to time. The high altitude performance, due to it being a Allison engine, does not like it above about 3,500 meters or about 10,000 to 11,000 feet. It doesn't like it at all. You lose a lot of power. And to be honest, you really do feel that power. Now, whilst I say this plane is good, I just think the P-40E or the Key 44, the Key 43 even, maybe even the P-66 Vanguard, because that thing's ranked 2 as well. I think those are better options. And I think if people are going to want to use a plane to grind China with, don't buy this plane. Just put a talisman on any of those 4 that I said. But like I say though, it's not a bad plane. You're going to see that. It's a good plane. I'm not going to deny it's a good plane, but it's just, I think, with the performance that it does have, I just think it's better used. Well, it's better bought by those who prefer different kinds of planes. Like they like historical detail, if that makes sense. So, why do I own this plane then? Well, obviously, if you listen to the i15 Biz Spade review, Moxie actually bought me this pack. He's a fucking legend, nicest bloke I've seen in a while, and he kindly bought me this pack so I could get started with the Chinese tree. And well, I took the plane out. When did I take it out? I took it out. This first flight took place yesterday morning, and I'd been flying it quite. In fact, I flew it most of the day actually. Obviously, I went out for a couple of hours, but even so. And also, me and my sister played some Borderlands because, well, Borderlands 3. I'm freaking loving that game. I'm not going to announce any spoilers, but let me tell you, I was quite sad at one point. Uh, yeah, it hit us, me and my sister, pretty hard because we didn't expect it, as most Borderlands games do. It's like when freaking. But then again, some people probably haven't even played Borderlands 2 yet, so I'm not going to say that. But Borderlands 2 got me pissed off because it killed off one of my favourite characters. And Borderlands 3 has done the exact same fucking thing. Like, come on. But as you can see here, climbing at about 15 degrees, it isn't the best climber in the world. I will say that right now. Now this MSSA Zhaowa, or however you say that, it's Chinese, I have no idea how to say it. He's going to be speaking Chinese. And yeah, he's on EU server, because that makes sense, but whatever. We're at a full up tier. We have LA5FNs, and well, the Japanese have a KI-100, a KI-102, and an A6M3, so we're already down one plane in terms of 3.7. Balanced day. Now I thought, okay, pretty reasonable odds. I obviously didn't know what planes they were at the time. And essentially, I just thought, okay, if I climb up, maybe see if there's a Japanese bomber, which there is. Well, I soon discovered that, obviously. This is where I spot the bomber. Obviously, you can see the dot there. And, well, I'm thinking, okay, could be a Betty, could be a Donryu, the KI-49. The H-81 is perfectly capable of dealing with it. However, this KI-49 just did not want to die, which you'll see, which I thought was pretty funny. But obviously, climbing at 15 degrees, about 10 now, because I wanted to climb a bit higher, well, climbing at a bit higher speed, if that makes sense. So, like, I want to climb at a higher speed, but at a lower angle. So, obviously, my team's climbing up, the LA5FNs are climbing up. But, obviously, I'm following this bomber. I thought, well, it's a Japanese bomber, it's not going to kill much, but it's better to get it out the way. I'll let him drop his bombs, because obviously I'm not close enough to engage him yet. But, you can drop his bombs, you can get points, I don't mind that, but I'm not letting him go. Because, well, I didn't know what, like, I knew it was a 3-7 game, but I didn't know how many 3-7s the Japanese had. Obviously, they now have, well, I knew at the end of the game they had 3. But, obviously, the KI-49s just bombed out bombed about half the base out. And this is where I start ripping them apart with the guns. Just to point out what I'm using Universal in the 12.7s. And I'm using Stealth in the 7.62s. aka the 30 gals. Gun convergence is 400 or 500 meters, depending on what mood I felt in. And as you saw, that KI-49 was just soaking up hits. Only my KI-49 soaked up that when I was spading the buggers. And that was my first kill. Obviously, I noticed there, A6M3, and I'm thinking, yep, that's 3-7. And, well, it just went from there, really. Obviously, I only have killed 2 KI-100s, one of whom called me a hacker. It wasn't this guy. Because, spoiler alert, I do shoot down a KI-100. That's when you know Gouge's matchmaker is fucked, when you're fighting 1945 planes. Because if you didn't know, people, the KI-100 was a 1945 aircraft. And it was actually pretty dang good for its time. Obviously, it wasn't the best, but it was really good for its time. Obviously, I'm in a 2-7 plane. I've just shot down was that the one that looks like a hairdresser's, or the hairdresser salon advertisement thing? You know when you go to a hairdresser's and you see like those spinning red and white hairdresser sort of things. I've always said Ki-49s have camouflage like that. There's a certain Ki-49 that can have a paint job like that, and I've always said it looks like that. I think it was that one, might not have been, but if you look at the planes of the Ki-49 series, you'll see what I mean. Looks like a hairdresser's spinning tube thing, I don't know what they call it. I can't say I pay attention to that sort of thing, I'm not exactly a hairdresser myself. I mean, I keep my hair short, that's literally it. But obviously I'm climbing up here, we're approaching 16,000 feet, and you can see this thing's barely, like, it's climbing, but it's struggling. It's losing a lot of power. And obviously with a Ki-100 on the enemy team, and a second Ki-100, as well as an A6M3, you're going to want to prioritize those. Obviously the Ki-100 up there is, I think he was like level 60, if I remember rightly. But obviously I'm just going to jump ahead, because, well, it's quite a bit until I actually engage the Ki-100. And it's at this point, a LA5FN is baiting him, so I'm thinking, okay, I'll take that. Ki-100, worthy kill for a P-40B. Because if that makes sense. I think P-40Bs went out of service in 1943. I don't remember. Gonna rip him with the guns, obviously I've set him on fire. I'm gonna set him on fire in the left-hand fuel tank, which was rather nice. And that blows him apart for my second kill. Ki-100 destroyed. A freaking P-40B gutting a H-81 or Ki-100 because you can't see shit. That makes sense. I have fought one H-100 in this plane. It can do it. Certainly can do it. It's just they have the maneuverability advantage, and they just don't seem to have. Well, the Ki-100 is Ki-100. I mean H-100. I'm getting confused at the moment. They do have a bit of a power advantage, a bit of a weight advantage, because obviously they are lighter than you. But this thing can still dive well, it can still climb reasonably okay, and it can maintain its energy rather well. It's just those engine temps you're going to watch. The water especially. The oil, I've never had a problem with. Now at this point, I spotted that Zero. Obviously, he's just, for some reason, decided to assist the Ki-49 with bombing, and he's actually dropped two 60-kilo bombs on a base, because as if that's going to help his team. He is coming in now, though. Obviously, you've just seen a teammate crash there. Ki-45, tail gunner puts a couple of shots into me, but the P-40, or this H-81, I'm just going to call it now. It is actually quite a tough plane. I've taken multiple hits from Japanese planes. At one point, I got passed by two Zeros. They fired cannon and machine gun at me before my team came in and whooped their asses. And, well, whilst this thing was pretty banged up, it was still a pretty good plane. And it took the hits well. Obviously, you can see A6M3, he is turning pretty hard. I'm thinking, I might not have a shot, but I'll give it a try. I get a crit the right wing, I believe, if I remember rightly from this battle. And I just zoom out. That is the way you deal with Zeros. You boom, you zoom, and you make sure those things can't get up to you, because they can catch you quite easily, in my opinion. Now, unbeknownst to me, that teammate down there in the I-153, obviously I didn't know at the time, he's actually out of ammunition. I was wondering why he was not shooting him. And I think the A6M3 pilot knew it. So I thought, okay, I'll throw this thing around a bit, pull it into the vertical so that the Zero has to lose all its energy. I've still got a little bit of energy before I stall. And I'll just flip the plane over and prepare for a dive in. I think the Chica was going for the ram, but I'm down to 30 cals. And that was my third and final kill for the game. And that is pretty much the end of the contribution to the battle. So what did I think of the H-81? Well, I'll review it at some point. I've got a replay file saved that I want to use for this plane. I need to start finding a freaking Hawk 3 more now. But do I think this thing's worth the 20 quid? Personally, no. I just think this thing's more of a collector's sort of piece. It's a good plane. Don't get me wrong, it is a good plane. Never said it was a bad plane. It does have a bit of a bad climb rate when you get it above 11,000 feet. but otherwise, it's a good plane. I just think there's better stuff in the tree to Talisman, and obviously spade that and use that to grind. But I will definitely use this thing in ground forces when the tank forces come out for China. And well, I'll give it a nice review, but like I say, I just don't think this thing is worth the 20 quid. I mean, the 15 days premium and the 1,000 Golden Eagles is certainly nice, but for what you're getting, I think this thing's more of a collector's piece. But like I say, good plane. I like it, but I just think there's better birds in the tree, which is really how it should be in terms of premiums. So I can applaud Gaijin on that regard. But anyway, I'm going to let you guys off. I hope you enjoyed today's video on the H-81 A2, also known as a P-40E, and I will see you all on the next one.